Hey there, it's me again from Catechism for Kids. Have you ever visited a church that was so big and beautiful, you thought it had to be a cathedral? Well, if it was a big church with a lot of history and an even deeper meaning to it, chances are it might have been a basilica. But what exactly is a basilica? What's the difference between a church, a cathedral, and a basilica? And what makes a basilica so special? We'll answer those questions and more in today's episode. Hey there, my young catechists. It's me. Welcome to our corner where we learn about our Catholic faith. Today, we are going to talk about what a basilica is. Make sure to leave a thumbs up if you like learning about God and His church. Let's get started. Have you ever seen a church that looks like this? Do you think it looked beautiful? Well, that church is called St. Peter's Basilica. It's located in Vatican City and is one of the holiest churches in all of Catholicism. St. Peter's Basilica is also known as a major basilica. But what does that mean? Well, let's find out together. I'm going to start with the word that we're talking about today, basilica. When you hear the word basilica, do you think of something familiar? Maybe you've heard the word basilica before, but aren't too sure what it means. A basilica is a type of church that has been designated by the Pope as being especially holy. But you might be thinking, well, if all churches belong to God, then isn't every church holy? Yes, they are holy because God can come into any place where His presence is invited. But some churches are more special than others because they hold special historical significance, or they are built over the tomb of a saint or other martyr. So essentially, a basilica is a church that is extra special to us Catholics because of its history. But why would a church need to be extra special to us? Let's take a look at the example of St. Peter. Did you know that Jesus chose Simon Peter to be the leader of the church? After Jesus ascended into heaven, Peter became the bishop of the church in Rome. He preached the good news of Jesus and performed many miracles until he was crucified upside down in the Roman Colosseum. His body was buried near the area of his martyrdom. Then later a church was built over his tomb. That church was made into a basilica because of the importance of the first bishop of Rome. Later, the church was destroyed and rebuilt several times until we came to the St. Peter's Basilica that we see today. So when we go to St. Peter's Basilica, we are standing on the very spot where St. Peter was buried. And because of this, the basilica holds special significance for us Catholics. The four major basilicas in Rome, which include St. Peter's, St. John Lateran, Santa Maria Maggiore, and Santa Croce, are given special privileges, such as the right to have a patriarchal or archiepiscopal see within them. So a major basilica can contain the seat of a patriarch or archbishop. All four of these churches are very old, and their origins date back to the early days of Christianity. You might be thinking, well, if there are four major basilicas in Rome, then there must not be any more. You would be correct. There are no other major basilicas. However, there are minor basilicas. And do you want to know how a church can become a minor basilica? Well, it's quite simple. Any church that has a special connection to a saint, a martyr, or some significant event can be made into a basilica. Often these churches have beautiful architecture, great art, and a rich history. They are usually very large and can hold lots of people. Many times these churches are the oldest churches in a city or town. The process of having a church named a basilica usually begins with a lengthy, detailed application process, including a request from the church's diocesan bishop. Although he relies on officials and volunteers affiliated with the church for assistance, the request is then submitted to the Holy See for consideration, along with a letter of support from the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops. At the request of the Holy See, certain requirements are necessary before a church can be named a basilica. Basilicas should maintain an active sacramental life, especially regarding the Eucharist and penance. They should be staffed by a sufficient number of clergy and lay ministers. And a decent-sized sanctuary and space for worshipers should facilitate well-executed liturgies. The potential basilica should also be marked by a special renown. This means it should be a place of pilgrimage, have ties to a notable historical event or time period, or serve as home to particular relics or sacred images venerated by the faithful. The church's historical significance and the quality of its art also are considered when deciding if a church is fit for designation as a basilica. Certain duties and obligations are attached to a church when it is granted the title basilica. Most importantly, a basilica should be considered a center for exemplary and beautiful liturgies, enhanced by well-executed music and singing. Additionally, Special attention should be given to the seasons of the church year, as well as celebration of the Liturgy of the Hours. Basilicas also are expected to promote Christian formation and study. It is recommended that groups are formed for teaching the faith and study of papal and other church documents, especially related to liturgy. There are over 500 minor basilicas throughout the whole world. One of my favorite basilicas is St. Nicholas Basilica in Amsterdam. Did you say, "I don't live near a basilica"? Well, you probably do. Churches that are built to honor someone who is not a saint, like a priest, a deacon, or a layperson, are called oratories. These churches are very similar to basilicas, but are generally smaller. Let's take a moment to remember some of the most famous basilicas in the United States, including the Basilica of St. John the Baptist in Atlanta, Georgia, the Basilica of the National Shrine of Our Lady of San Juan del Valle in San Juan, Texas, the Basilica of St. Mary in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and the Basilica of St. Francis Xavier in Vincennes, Indiana. One last thing I would like to mention before we end this video is that sometimes the word basilica is used incorrectly. People might use the word basilica to refer to any large building, even if it is not a church. For example, some universities have a basilica on their campus. These university basilicas are actually not technically basilicas since they are not churches. Rather, they are simply named basilicas because they have a basilica-like appearance. Now you know what a basilica is. You can answer the question if a building is a basilica by asking yourself, is it a church? If the answer is yes, then it is likely a basilica. But remember, not all churches are basilicas. Now, you are a true expert on basilicas. Wow, you are getting so smart. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Hey, did you like this video? Make sure to click the thumbs up button and share it with your friends. Subscribe to stay updated on all our awesome videos for kids. If you want to watch more, click here. We've got lots of great videos for kids that will help them learn about their Catholic faith. Thank you for watching.